Good, good. Welcome. All right, well, I think it's past 10:30. Said we were going to start at 10:30-ish, so let's do that. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Lincoln Government Day meeting. First Friday of the month. This is August 2nd, 2024. My name is Andy Hunthausen. I'll be chairing. Commissioner Payne, who normally would be here, is out of town today, so she will not be with us. Commissioner Tom Rolfe, I think still your name, right? That's Tom Rolfe. Good morning, sir. Roger Balter, Chief Administrative Officer. Jenny Chambers, Director of Public Works, right? Still Public Works?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, I have to work through it. Jessica Makus, he's with our special districts and RIDs. And we have Jay Plant over here from Environmental Health. And I'm sorry,
I'm Adam Mason also.
Adam Mays?
Yep.
Adam, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
We haven't had a chance to get
brand new.
to get tight yet. So, good. Welcome. And we'll introduce others as we go along here. But there is another chair or two up here, a couple over here if anybody needs chairs. But just a reminder, since the last legislative session, we are required to record our meetings via video. And thus, we have to get everybody in who's speaking. So we're going to try and ask when folks have their turn at the mic, come up to the podium here, and that's kind of where we have the camera focus so that we can make sure that we get it all on film here. I guess I'm still using the term film, it's digital these days, but I'll use film. So that's what I'm used to. So we have to now, since the last session, we've always recorded them, audio recording, but we have to video record all of our meetings as well, and those have to be posted. We have a YouTube page or YouTube site, YouTube channel, and those have to be posted within 5 days. So we're trying to do a better job making sure that we get everyone that is speaking on the record. It has been in the past a little bit casual, especially our meetings that are outside the county seat. We just have a conversation with people in the crowd, or we're trying to get away from that and a little more formal, which is too bad, but it's also, I understand why. So we'll have a good record of who's attended our meeting and who's speaking at any time. So please help us with that. All right, and that's kind of part of my stalling. I was seeing if the sheriff would get here, but he's not here. We do have a representative from our highway patrol. Any updates, anything you'd like to share with us? And if you do, if you come up here, that would be great. You can introduce yourself and let us know if there's anything new or exciting. And if there's nothing at this time, that's fine. Usually we introduce the sheriff, and then he'll introduce you.
Yeah, Jake Hart's sergeant out at Helena. Lincoln's part of my attachment area. We don't have anything going on, but if you guys have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Yes, how about questions for highway patrol? One of the things that always, you're pretty new, obviously, up here.
I've been in Helena for 3 years.
But have you been up in Lake? You haven't been to our meeting here very often.
No, handful of times. Maybe
Yeah.
just my local news up here.
Right, okay. Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And there's always, speed kinds of questions and those kinds of things. I'm sure that with the fire and stuff, you're working some of that as well in terms of helping out with the traffic
As
control.
much as we can.
Right. Good. Well, if you have any questions, we'll be around for a little while.
Yeah, of course.
Great.
Be
Thank
fine
you
in
very
the back.
much.
Yep.
Appreciate you being here. All right, community council. I don't see Zach, but anyone else from the community council that wants to jump in and say anything?
I'm on the council.
Yes, sir.
My name's Rick Foreman. With the fire going on, Zach didn't cancel our meeting. There was a lot going on at the time when that fire just started, and I got evacuated out of Lincoln Gulch. But anyway, so we didn't have a meeting this month, but I don't know of any other issues going on, except the Dalton Mountain Bridge is being worked on. The construction is ongoing, and they're setting up a fire camp at the
there, and, now I don't know if there's anything going on in the park these days. Any park update that you wanna give at all? You don't have to.
Oh, yeah, I
If there isn't anything, that's fine.
We got a little gopher problem over there, and I guess, we caused a lot of stir here last week, because my coach was out there shooting gophers with an air rifle, and, I guess the sheriff got a lot of calls about somebody shooting in the park. We've got to do something about the gophers. I don't know what we can do. I don't wanna poison, and we've gotta, if we use traps, we've gotta watch for domestic animals getting in them. So, other than that, everything's going pretty good. It's kinda slow this year. We're not where we was last year in fees, but maybe it'll pick up.
Great, thank you.
Is that because of the new campground out west of town?
Do what?
Is that because of the new campground out west of town?
I think so, but I'm understanding they're full all the time. I think there's some of it, yeah, and the weather's been awful hot.
Oh, yeah.
and stuff. They got better services than we do, but, that's just the way it goes.
There's no trees though.
What was the first thing you said? I couldn't catch it right at the very beginning.
We have a gopher problem over
Oh,
there.
gopher, that was
Yeah.
the word. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Brown squirrels.
If anybody's got any ideas to get rid of
Yeah, right,
them,
that's
let me know.
Shotgun.
Yeah, well, that could work.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, a gun in the park in town, brings up some issues for some, so that was a little problematic, I know, so. Thank you. All right, and I think a lot of the things that the community council usually brings us up to date on, we have folks here to talk about today, so that's good.
So you didn't stop shooting them because people were calling, did you? Just keep on shooting them.
Thanks.
I don't think it was the people that was staying there, it was somebody driving by, see, the house looks like a rifle, it looks like a sniper rifle, but it's an air.
Thank you, yeah, and you've been working it out with the sheriff and others, so we'll let that be where it is, so, thank you. Jim? And team? Sure, yeah, some familiar faces.
Yeah,
How you doing? Good to see everyone.
so I'm Jim Yarborough, Lincoln District Ranger, Agency Administrator on the Black Mountain Fire. This is Sarah, she's our PIO, and Bruce, he has a handle on the weather and the fire behavior. So basically the fire, as of yesterday morning, was about 126 acres. I say about because we had a firefighter walk the perimeter with a GPS. But it's still skunking around and moving a little bit. It's in super heavy dead and down, anywhere between 30 and 80 tons per acre. So getting the equipment in there ahead of the firefighters is key to their safety. So that's why it's a little slow, and that's why we ordered up an air show right away. You all saw the air show the first night of the fire. We did that. They dumped it directly on the head of the fire to try and stop it because it was moving pretty quick in that heavy timber, it was wind driven coming down. You know how it is, the wind blows out over Huckleberry and right down toward town. And it had an aspect, it had a vector on it toward Lincoln Gulch. So that's what triggered, when you're given an option to evacuate or not, and the fire's moving at that rate, they're gonna pull the trigger on an evacuation. So the evacuation was lifted, as you all know. There's an evacuation warning, but it's not an evacuation order at this point. So the forest has implemented a closure order, and it's at Beaver Creek. You can't go up Beaver Creek. At the Y, you can't go left. And then once you get up to the forest boundary, you can't cross onto the forest boundary. Beaver Creek's closed. Anything that crosses onto the forest boundary from basically Sucker Creek, there's a meridian line that goes up Sucker Creek. It starts right here in town and goes straight north. Where that meridian line crosses the forest boundary, that's where the closure order is. You can go up Sucker Creek to the right and go on out toward Copper. That makes sense. You can go out there, that's what we do. You can go the Stonewall Pass, or Stonewall Repeater, goes over to, I believe it's Stonewall Creek, comes down, back down to the road that ties in to the road that goes over Huckleberry Pass. The road that goes over Huckleberry Pass is closed, both directions, the whole thing's closed. And then the closure order goes down, follows the forest boundary south to Highway 200, back up by Lincoln Springs, and then ties back into Beaver Creek. You can get that information on the website. There's a map out there, and it'll show you all those roads and trails that are closed in that closure area, sir.
What's the official name of the fire?
Black Mountain Fire.
Black Mountain.
I don't have a new acre update because we didn't fly infrared last night, and nor did we walk the fire perimeter last night. It's starting to warm up, heat up when we get direct sunlight and increased temperatures. It starts moving around again a little bit. We do have a box around the fire, and all fire tactics are on the table for the ICUs, so it's full suppression again. It is moving, but they do have some line, especially on the north side and at the heel of the fire. It started up on the ridge and blew on a west wind to the east and southeast. So that heel is up there to the northwest. They do have a line up there. They brought equipment in on the mountain bike trail, and they have dozers in there, they have feller bunchers in there, skidders, and they're cleaning things up. There's some pretty steep slopes in there that you can't put some machines on. Basically, the feller buncher is the only one that can get on those machines, on those slopes. And they'll drag that feller buncher head down the dirt to put a line in, right? So you have a break in the vegetation. And they're tying it down the slope to the north toward the creek, toward the road that goes up on the Bear Pass. I don't remember the number of the road. But that's basically what's going on. Right now, we did bring a Type 3 team in, and the reason I pulled the trigger on a Type 3 team is because we got a long summer left in front of us. And our firefighters have been kicking butt. DNRC has been doing a really good job. They worked their tails off over here on the Dalton Mountain Fire. And we need people available, fresh and available for more IAs, incident, the initial attack on new fires. And we needed some people to come in on the administrative side. These folks are here to help with that. And we didn't have that when we were putting it together. I would have had a meeting earlier, but we were running a gun and there was too much going on. 16-hour day starts to wear on you. You don't want to hear me speak after a 16-hour day, let me tell you. So that's why today is the first day I'm speaking. But the updates on the website have been 100% accurate. They check those postings with me every time they do it. He was updating the website every 12 hours, I think. The instant I saw the call or heard the call on the radio, I called the PIO because I knew we needed to get the information out there. When you have something that's that visible, people want to know what's going on. So there was information posted by 10 o'clock the first night on the website. That's what I have right now. It's not a real big fire. It's a super heavy timber. So if there's no wind, if it's not wind driven, it's going to move a little slower. But this is one of those fires where you don't get comfortable with it, right? Because the fuels are so heavy and they resist mop up. The Dalton fire, the firefighters went out there and they were mopping it up, hosing it down, and then they would go back 24 hours later and the spot they hit was still putting out smoke. It was still hot. So we have the same thing to deal with on this one. Anyway, that's what I have for now. And if we have any questions, Sarah's here to answer a bunch of questions, and so is Bruce.
Great.
We'll
Sarah,
answer
Bruce?
questions later. We have a map we can open up. We don't want to hold up everybody else's show with ours, so we got a map we can open up and show folks afterward if you want, or now, what do you believe?
Great, maybe a little both. I don't know if there's anything you want to talk about in terms of what you're seeing or what updates from your perspectives, and then you can hang around after if people have specific questions you want to lay the map out on and all that.
If I was going to add anything, good.
Will you guys come up so you're in the camera there, just for our record?
Great recap on what's going on out there. If I was to add anything, I would really just reinforce the idea that fire is going to lay on that up there for a long time. The weather, as I'm looking at it, moisture is what's going to put it out, and it's August. It's August in Montana. It doesn't rain here. If it does, it's bits and pieces. And so that's really the only thing that's on the radar screen as far as moisture goes. Those heavy fuels that are burning are so dry that, they're burning up completely. Normally, that kind of fuel becomes problematic when it's like 12 and 15% moisture. It's like at 3 and 4% moisture. So, and some of it is actually registering at 0. So it's really dry, it really holds fire a long time, and it just takes time, people, and energy to mop up. Even when a piece of equipment comes in and drags down, people still have to go in behind that and reinforce that, make sure there isn't any junk laying on that line, because it wants to just follow itself right across the landscape is what it does. The only thing that makes a fire like that get up and move will be some kind of major weather event that comes in, either a hard cold front with really windy conditions, or we come back to that 110 degrees and 5% humidity and that type of thing. Otherwise, it just sits there. And unfortunately, the access isn't that great, so you can't move 100 or millions of people in there to clean it up quickly. It just, that's how it is. And if you look at the bigger picture, there's a lot of fires in the area, and the area goes all the way to the Pacific Ocean, and they're gobbling up a lot of our resources. So we are doing what we can with that fire as far as working it goes. That's kind of what I have, and yeah, and I'll be around afterwards, and we will have maps up.
Great. Anything, Sarah?
Sure. Just one quick thing, so again, Sarah will also be handling information. We'll still be using IncyWeb and the Helena Lewis and Clark National Forest Facebook page, so that's where things have been. I can leave one of these in the back, or a couple of these around, just the QR codes if you're not familiar with IncyWeb, or it'll take you straight to the incident page, the same with the Facebook. And we did set up a different phone info line, so that is staffed by myself. I have my phone on with me all the time, so you can call that if you want any specific updates. And we also have an email address that you can also send questions or comments to. So I will leave some of these around. I'll leave one up here for folks. And then I'll leave these in the back.
Thank
Thanks.
you very much. Appreciate it. Jim, anything else going on? Kind of everything slows down?
Everything stops with fire. No, our trail crews have all the trails open in the wilderness, including some of the tributaries coming in, but the main lines were opened up, main trails were opened up early this year because there was a lack of blowdown. And they're working on some of these motorized trails on the south side down here right now. Yeah, we're trying to put some money into signs. We're ordering up a big sign order for trails and campgrounds. And yeah, I don't know, that's about it. We've had some bears have been batting. They've been visiting the campgrounds as much as they've been visiting in here. Just a reminder on the food storage order, right? A fed bear is a dead bear. So just want to keep things locked up so far as food and garbage is concerned in the campgrounds.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions right now? If not, you surely can stick around and ask questions after, look at the map and all of that.
We've got a, what do you call that?
QR
QR
code.
QR code, there we go. We got a couple of those if you wanna take those,
We can pass them around as well. You bet. So we'll pass those around, and then there's a sign-in sheet as well, so some of you may not have gotten that. If you came in after, we can pass that around, send it back into the crowd there maybe, and if anybody didn't get it. Thank you very much for being here, really appreciate it. All right, Public Works.
Good morning again. For the record, my name is Jenny Chambers, Public Works Director. Not a ton for you guys today, is to report out, but a few things. You might have known that we had one of our lead equipment operators up in Lincoln. The position was vacant for quite some time, probably about 9 months. That position is now filled, and our equipment operator appears doing a really good job. It's going to take a little bit of time to learn the area and really get familiar with Lincoln, but overall we're really pleased with his onboarding and the training and stuff that we've been working through on things. In addition, we do have our other equipment operator as well, which was a seasonal that's now permanent, helping between here and Augusta. Also a longtime resident of Lincoln, also providing a lot of assistance there. And then if we need to, we do still bring up our senior equipment operator from Helena, Travis, that was helping out in the temporary interim time to come up here and also provide training and maybe spot check and look at some of the work and stuff that's been done from the Helena office. So we've got a lot of support up here in Lincoln. So you guys are looking in good shape as far as just overall public works operations goes. We have completed sweeping within Lincoln. Pothole patching was completed, but as always, you know, new potholes pop up that we don't always know about. So feel free to call down to Helen at the road department if there's something you guys see that helps us get it on our radar if we need to have it move forward. But we think that most of those have been taken care of. Lincoln RID, the Rural Improvement District, has been magged 4x4, which is a rural improvement district. It also has had mag for dust suppression on it. And then we prepped Heron Lake detour prior to MDT closing Dalton Mountain Bridge, and so that was also made after that as well, so that detour is in good shape. So that was kind of a quick progress, but the road department got that done prior to the bridge closure. And then we're just going to continue with grading operations in the fall. As it heats up, it's tough to grade when it's a hot, dry condition. We always have to pair the grader operator with a water truck. And then the Lincoln water truck actually broke down on us. We actually have a breakdown on one of our water trucks in the Helena area, but we moved a Helena water truck up to Lincoln so we can continue to grade up in Lincoln, but they're going to continue doing that work in the fall. So that's moving forward pretty well. The one thing I wanted to talk about, which isn't necessarily Lewis and Clark County's project, but we're partnering and providing some assistance to, is Trout Unlimited, and the Forest Services has a bridge construction underway on Stemple Pass on the Poorman Bridge. That road is open, it's not a complete closure, but there's a detour there, and it's a one-lane narrow detour. Kind of difficult for long vehicles to go through, like if you're pulling a truck and a horse trailer or a tractor trailer trying to go through there, it's pretty narrow. We're hoping that Trout Unlimited is supposed to be getting their contractor to have the bridge beams installed next week. The project is going pretty well. Just be aware that that detour is in place. It's a little narrow, congestion, and just kind of watch your traffic and speed through that area if you're driving on Stemple through that bridge. So what the main purpose of that project is from a restoration, water quality restoration and fisheries. That's why it's Trout Unlimited, to open up that channel, allow the flow to go through better, and it'll help with the fisheries associated with that bridge. So that's pretty exciting, and a project that's certainly underway. And then MDT friends are here for the update later on Dalton Mountain Bridge and other MDT related projects, so I won't touch base on those because we've got them here as guests, but that's what I have today. If there's any questions, commissioners or the public.
Great, questions from anyone at this point?
I actually didn't look at the agenda, so the public comments on the increase for the grid, is that later or is that now?
Yep, that's later. So
Okay.
the RID discussion will come later as an action item, and I've got Jessica Makus here, my special district coordinator, that will help lead that conversation on.
All right,
Thank you.
appreciate it. All right, and we have public health here today, so Jay Plant from Environmental Health, we'll let you kick it off. And
All right. Okay, well, Forest Service kind of stole my thunder because we didn't have enough smoke building out that fire. Yeah, I just wanted to touch on a few things with, obviously we're getting smoke coming back in from out-of-state wildfires. Probably gonna get some smoke coming off of the Black Mountain fire, but, you know, most of us have grew up around here, we know, we deal with it. But, the summer pushes on, we're early August, we could be dealing with another month or two of smoke. So the biggest thing is how do you protect yourself? Because the cumulative effects of that smoke day after day, they build up. And if you are a person who has asthma, you're breathing compromised, it's tough to deal with. So just a few things, and I did set some literature over on by the coffee pot there, just some brochures. Feel free to take some handouts, just on different things you can do, some different things you can check, to kind of protect your health. But and just to kind of give you an idea, I brought some filters, and usually when you have a really smoky valley, it's easy to get your point across. But today, in the last couple days, been pretty good. And maybe next week we'll get some rain. So, but
DEQ typically will put out, when there's a large fire, they'll bring in portable filters to a surrounding community, just to kind of get an idea of the impact of that, of the particulates that are coming off the fire. This is a typical filter here that I've just put in these sheet protectors, before it ever has been, a sample has been run. And here's one, and these are kind of from the Helena area in the past years. This was one, it was a normal day like today where there was background smoke, but there wasn't a local fire. Now here's one, basically this was 2 weeks after the fire had started. So you can see the difference, you know, what that machine is sucking in through there. Okay? Here's another one, this was actually one by Hamilton. But now here's one that during the fire you can see the difference. So, you know, that's what we're breathing in. And another one here. So, some things you can do to protect yourself. You know, there's not a whole lot that can be done, but just some simple things. You're driving your car around town, you're going to the store. You know, put your air conditioner on and put it in the recycle mode, so you're recirculating mode, so you're recirculating that air, you're not pulling in all that outside air. Just make sure if you're going on a long trip, occasionally you vent that out because you do build up a lot of carbon dioxide and stuff in the car. So in your home, you know, close your windows. I know at night it's nice to open those windows and get that cool air come in. But if it's real smoky, that smoke's coming in. So if you have an air conditioner, turn it on. You know, if it has a recirculating mode, try and run that as much as possible. We do strongly recommend that if you can have access to or can get a portable in-house air cleaner, just a little floor model, definitely get one of those. And it doesn't have to be very big. For something, if you have a bedroom when you're sleeping at night, you can turn that on and they do work wonders. I mean, it's amazing the amount of air or smoke and particulates that are filtered out through those machines. You can get one that'll do a whole house, just depends on what you want to invest in. If you don't have access to one of those or you don't feel like spending the money, probably the easiest and cheapest trick, get yourself a little box fan. Go to the hardware store, buy a furnace air filter, and just tape it to that intake of the fan, and that will actually do pretty much the same thing for you. And you could buy 2 or 3 of those, put them throughout your house, and it will help filter that air. So, and if you want more information on that, you can go to our Lewis and Clark Public Health Department's website, and under environmental health and air quality, we have ways you can make those, and also you can Google them. There's a lot of simple things you can do, but so just some simple things there. And like I said, if you're breathing compromised, you have asthma, try not to spend a lot of time outside or breathing that stuff in. So I know the mental factor comes into play where it's like you get, you know, you got to go out and see the sunlight or something, but it can definitely, you know, make your breathing problems worse beyond that. So, but just one last thing, like I said, go to our website, Lewis and Clark Public Health. You can see we do give an hourly and daily update on the forecast, the smoke forecast, the smoke conditions, which a lot of that is, yes, focused to the Helena Valley, but if there is something, say with the Black Mountain Fire we need to update, we will put it on there. Another good resource, which if you don't know about, is Montana DEQ's website. You just go to www.mtdeq/air. You can see daily smoke forecasts. They will put out, you know, what the state, what's coming into the state. They'll give predictions on, their state meteorologists will give predictions on where that smoke's going, what they think it's going to be. So it's good to kind of look at that. If you have stuff to do outside, you know, go check it out. So other than that, anybody have any questions or anything?
If you have really good wind, you can hold your breath until October.
Yeah.
That's all that we
Send it all to North Dakota.
Thank you, Jay. Any questions?
yeah, like I said, there's information there, feel free to take any of that, so, thanks.
All right, really appreciate it. All right, we're on to the next item, which is our reports for month. Oh, I'm sorry, please.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure we got the folks from the bridge.
They're next.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, thank you. Yes, Montana Department of Transportation's next. You bet. So, I don't know who's gonna be lead here, but
You know, I can talk about overall stuff, Doug will not here is on the bridge specifically, so whichever you wanna talk about first.
well, you guys decide. But if you just maybe all of you can go up there and take turns,
Sure.
however you want to do it. But welcome. We're glad you're here. Thanks for coming. Really
Thanks to
appreciate it.
Jenny for inviting us.
Yeah.
So I'll start off, I'm Doug Wilmot, and I actually work for TD&H Engineering, but we're doing the construction administration for the bridge project for MDT, and we have Sletton Construction's the prime contractor out there, so I guess I would kind of just open it up if you've got any questions. I guess start with, project's basically on schedule. They're working on, they've done the 2 drilled shafts on the north side of the river are in. They'll start drilling Monday on the south side for the 2 drilled shafts over there. They'll be working on the concrete cap on the north side. And so the field work's progressing. A lot of the in-stream riprap work has been done. Yeah,
So,
Do
Doug,
you have an estimated completion date for that?
yeah, so their contract completion date is mid-November, and they're basically meeting or ahead of that schedule right now. Really what's driving the schedule on that is the actual construction of the truss. It's a steel truss, and it's actually being built in pieces in Alexandria, Minnesota right now. And there's been a lot of upfront work basically from the time that they were awarded the contract. You know, we've been working back and forth on they do the final design. The actual manufacturer of the truss does the final design, so we've been working with the project designer, MDT, the manufacturer and design. So that's been, all along, that's been kind of the critical activity for the project. And so that's on schedule or a little ahead of schedule also, so.
great. So just to remind people that you're talking about drilling the shafts on each side. Essentially, this bridge is going to be a full span, entire span. So there'll be no pillar in the middle like there used to be in the old bridge, and so it's quite a bit more involved, I guess, if you will, from an engineering and from a construction perspective to bridge that span. It's over 100 feet, I believe.
Yeah, 150 feet.
150 feet. So these huge shafts that they're drilling, they're going to be the pillars that hold the thing up on each side, essentially, to hold the weight
Yeah,
up.
and those are 86 feet deep.
Wow.
So it's a big operation, so.
Right, and so these truss that you're talking about, that's the span that's going to be put across.
And that'll actually be delivered in, so each side of the truss will be in 3 pieces. They're fabricating and bolting all the other pieces. They actually bolt the whole thing together on each side, and then they'll take it apart for transportation. And then when it gets here, again, there'll have to be some temporary supports in the river when they set that and get each side of the truss hooked up, and then the whole floor beam system has to be erected.
Right.
And then on top of that, they'll pour a concrete deck, bridge rails and everything. So even after the truss gets here, there's a lot of work with the deck work and all of that.
Just wanted to kind of give a picture for those that may not have it pictured in their mind how it's going to work. But,
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, I won't say a unique process. I don't think MDT, we don't do a lot of truss bridges anymore, but this was just a good fit for this situation to get something that would span the entire river for permitting and all of that stuff, so.
great, thank you. How about questions about the bridge project?
be concrete before you get there to long pieces?
In the roadway, you mean? There's just a short section of concrete off the ends of the bridge, like 18 feet, I think, of concrete approach
Close enough.
road sections, yeah.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for the Dalton Bridge update. Anything else on that one?
Nothing else on that one for me.
Okay, all right.
I didn't have anything. We do have a project website up. You can go to NDT's site and look at the project website. We do weekly updates on that, so. And you can put questions in there if you have any, so.
Great. And we'll try to give some level of update here every month through Public Works, so, yeah. Great. Well, thank you, I really appreciate it.
Good.
All right, Matt.
I guess what I was gonna talk about are other active projects.
Just for the
Okay.
record.
Oh, yeah, Rich Hibl with MDT, I'm the district construction engineer in the Great Falls office. So, yeah, we've got our Fletcher Pass overlay, mill and overlay project going right now. As far as an update, we are gonna be milling and paving probably through most of next week. Then they should be done with that. They're gonna come back and cut some rumble strips, do some striping. And then it likely will get chip sealed next year, is the current schedule, so, that's kinda how that one is shaping up so far. Any questions on that one?
You're just relaying it, right? Cause they did it once before on the other side. I've just worked for Lewis and Clark County for 35 years, a part-time job up there, and I spent all my life on that damn pass. They come up and did part of that grinding and re-milling quite a number of years ago. And that worked out real well.
Yep. Yeah, we did take a run through it this morning. It's coming out real good, the new pavement, so, looks like we'll have a pretty good project there. And really, that's about it for active projects from our standpoint, so, unless there's any other
The
questions.
200 corridor project's done.
Yep, that
Looks
one's
good.
done with, and, yeah, so I guess that's what we have.
Yeah, well, that's nice. Any questions for MDT? All right. Anything else?
I think we're good.
Anything you want to add? Well, that was.
Thanks for having us anyway.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate you coming, and, it's been years, as you know, for the Dalton Mountain, kind of anticipating this time, so, everyone's excited, I think, to see that project to its end. And, the sooner the better, we like to hear the words on schedule, or generally on schedule within the parameters, so that's good. Thank you very much. Hope it stays that way. All right. Okay? Perfect. Appreciate it. All right, now, some of the highlights that some of you have been waiting for, I think. Jessica, this is the, first one is Resolution 2024-78 to levy and assess the Lincoln Rural Improvement District number 2004-6.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioner. Today we'll be holding a public hearing to hear comments and objections regarding the final adoption of Resolution 2024-78 to levy and assess an annual special assessment of $120 per property per year within the Lincoln Rural Improvement District. With a total of 337 benefiting properties in the district, a total of $40,440 will be assessed annually to fund maintenance of the RID. The Lincoln RID was created in 2004. It was updated in 2022 with the last chip seal cycle that we saw. The district provides maintenance to most of the roads within town. The Lincoln Rural Improvement District covers most of town. The only thing it doesn't cover is the Lambkins Rural Improvement District, which is just in that northeast corner of Lincoln.
And we'll be talking about that next, so this
Yes.
is.
So this is just that Lincoln district. The maintenance provided within this district includes the magnesium chloride application on the gravel roads. It includes pothole patching, crack sealing, and chip sealing. The county road department, independent from the RID assessment, provides all of the plowing and sanding, provides the grading on all of the gravel roads, and the sweeping on the hard surface roads. The assessment was raised last year to $90 per property per year, with the intent to monitor the chip seal costs and increase the district accordingly to stay on track for funding the next chip seal cycle. These chip seal cycles, this occurs in the Lincoln and Lambkins districts about every 7 years. And this is when they come in and put that layer of oil down and then that layer of rock down. And this is what preserves that hard surface road condition throughout Lincoln. This occurs about every 7 years. So low frequency, but it is the highest cost maintenance item that we have for this district. Even up until 2022, every time the Lincoln and Lambkins districts need to be chip sealed, we've had to pull out a loan to do this work. When we have to pull out a loan to do this work, by state law, we have to add a 5% charge for the total construction cost to what's called the RID revolving fund, which is a fund that maintains debt for RIDs in Lewis and Clark County. The statute allows you to assess, to add up to 10% into that RID revolving fund. Lewis and Clark County takes the minimum, which is 5%. In addition to that RID revolving fund charge, you also pay interest on any kind of loan. Right now, with the Montana Board of Investments, that interest rate is 5.75%. It's a variable rate, so as interest rates come down, that will likely come down, but you have that charge on top of it. So last year was the first year that we increased this assessment rate, this maintenance assessment rate. The last increase happened in 2014. The intent of this increase is to monitor these chip seal costs to make sure that we come out of that loan cycle. So that in 2029, when these roads need chip sealed again, when we need to have that critical maintenance to make sure that we maintain the integrity of these hard surface roads, the money is in this account. And we do not have to pull out a loan and face those additional charges. With the current assessment rate of $90 per property per year, we're projecting a budget shortfall of approximately $100,000 for that 2029 chip seal. What I do each year, what our staff does with the RID program, is we look at the revenue coming in for each of our rural improvement districts. We look at our annual expected expenditure plus the anticipated expenditure of these chip seal cycles to see how each district is doing financially. If we look and see that we have a shortfall coming, that's when we propose one of these increases. So with a proposed $100,000 shortfall in 2029, I'm going to make sure that we are assessing appropriately now to make sure that we're ready for that chip seal cycle in 2029. An increase to this assessment will ensure that annual maintenance, the annual patching, crack sealing, those kinds of items can continue to be done each year while we continue to save for that chip seal cycle in 2029. This is a total increase of $30 per property per year. And we did talk about this increase during Government Day in May, on May 3rd. The legal notice of the increase and this public hearing held today was sent to all benefiting property owners by mail. It was also published in the Helena Independent Record on July 13th and July 20th, 2024. As of yesterday, we've received no written testimony in regards to this increase for the Lincoln District. Staff recommend approval of the resolution to levy and assess the Lincoln RID, and I'm happy to take any questions at all. Thank you.
So first from the commission here, any questions? Just to recap, Jessica, the RID and the attempt here and the reason for the increase, if I can restate it,
yes.
Is that in the past we've had to take out these loans, and those loans end up not only increasing, we have to do an increase like this, but then we also have to add on that 5% charge that goes back to the revolving fund, and in that increase we have to pay interest. So if we anticipate in 2029, we know what it's generally going to cost us, or we have a good guesstimation gonna cost us to chip seal. If we start saving for that now, then we save all those fees and all the interest, we don't have to pay those because we won't have to take out a loan then. And that will ultimately save all of the people in the district significant dollars.
Mr. Chair, that's absolutely correct.
Okay.
That's exactly the intent. You know, right now, as we look, we project out to the 2029 cycle, with a little bit of interest, or not interest, excuse me, with a little bit of inflation added each year until we get to 2029, we project that out as well. I estimate we're looking at about $2,012 total for that chip seal just in the Lincoln district. So when we think about that total construction project, you know, adding.
212,000?
Yes.
You said 2012.
Oh, excuse me, sorry, that would be fantastic, sorry.
212.
212,000 is the total cost, sorry. So when we think about adding 5% of that total construction cost on, you know, to the RID revolving fund, and then interest on top of that, that's you know, it's a substantial amount of money.
Right.
So.
So we're hoping to save that.
Right.
So, thus the increase. No, you stated it, I'm just restating it, for me, so I can understand it better, so. Anyway, we would like to take questions and comments about this, we'd like to hear what you feel, but I wanna remind folks that, we really want, we'd ask you to come up to the podium, state your name for the record, so that we have it on the record, so that we don't miss someone's comment or question from back of the room. We don't know who it was, we don't know what they were talking about, so if you're to come to the podium and do that, we really have a good record. So, anyone have a question or comment about the Lincoln RID proposed increase? This is a public hearing. Please come on up, and if you'd state your name for the record, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Lori Welty, and I have 3 questions, actually.
Great.
So I'm wondering if the assessment is the same amount per property, whether you have a road that is already chip sealed and maintained as such, or you have a dirt road that's graded and magged.
Well, we'll take them all, and she'll try and answer them, or we'll answer them all after you've asked your question.
So that was my first question. My second one was actually on the meetings for the last assessment. I think you answered the question, because at that point in time, I think we were told that the assessment was calculated to take us through the next chip seal, which obviously it didn't. So I have kind of, it's like, how often is this gonna happen, I guess, is where I'm headed with that question. And the third one is more, I guess, on a personal level for our particular property. So for 9 years that we've done on that road, the grading and the magging has been a beautiful job. It's smooth, there's no rocks, when you look down the road, it's just like, almost like glass. It's been a really great job. So I think it was the week of, the 15th, July 15th, probably that Tuesday or Wednesday, that road was graded and magged, and the job is absolutely atrocious. So I was almost laughing when you were talking about the new equipment operators, because I probably could have done a better job myself. There's so many rocks, I don't know if they brought material in. I can't imagine that many rocks being pulled up during the grading process, but it's horrible, and it burns with full of rocks. They had to have brought some kind of material in, and it's just really a very poor job. In fact, I'd like somebody to follow me home and take a look at it. It's that bad. So.
Your address again?
Pardon me?
What's your address again?
It's 407 North First Avenue. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So on the 23rd, my husband called Ron McDunn and spoke with him, and he said there was a new blade operator, and that he actually referred Randy to Ed Tinker, who's the road supervisor, I guess, and Randy got a hold of Ed, and Ed said that they had taken a look at, that the guy was doing okay, that they took a look at the first road or two, the person graded, and then apparently didn't look at anything else. I don't know what those first couple of roads were, but in the process of that conversation, Randy was talking about the potential of, and this goes to my first question, of whether we're being assessed the same amount of money as those that substandard roads to the people if we're paying the same amount of money. So he asked Ed Tinker about possibly doing that road, paving it, whatever, gypsum, whatever you have to do. Was asking about the material being pulled off from the state job on Flesher. And Ed said they had a bunch of that stockpiled, but he didn't advise using it for creating a road surface because of so I don't know why you're stockpiling it. It is not gonna be used for a road surface, but I would like to look into that a little deeper as well. So we didn't get very satisfactory answers, and again, we have a very substandard surface, and I resent paying continuing assessments and assessment increases if we don't even have the same product that other people are paying. That's number one. And number two, if we're getting the quality of work we got this year, it's just, I would like to have a look into.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your comment.
And
Other public comment on the Lincoln RID.
My name is John Beckman Senior. And I say the senior because there's 3 of us. But this improvement district, what is the amount that you say is going to go up $30? Now, is that per month or per year?
Per year.
Per year. Because, and so I have 2 properties in, so that's $60 a year. But it doesn't sound like much for a person that's not paying very little property taxes, but I'm paying $8,200 a year already on my 2 acres of property right here in town. And so every $60 hurts. So I think possibly that we could find some other avenue to get our streets done or stretched out farther, or better employees or better material or whatever, so.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Other comment on this, on the Lincoln RID? Other comment? All right. Why don't we try and answer the questions, some of the questions that we can here, and we'll.
Sure, yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Ms. Welty and Mr. Beckman. So as far as our properties on the gravel roads paying the same as properties on the hard surface roads, and the answer to that is yes. In the Lincoln Rural Improvement District, it's a flat assessment rate of $100. Right now it's $90 per property per year. We're proposing an increase of $120 per property per year, regardless of the road surface. We recognize that the road surfaces are different. And to try to even that out, that is why we applied magnesium chloride to the gravel roads. The county grades all of those gravel roads. That's not paid for through the RID. So that is a service that the county is providing. Certainly, this assessment would be far higher if you had to add in those grading costs as well. However, the county right now does that for this district, and it also handles all of the snow plowing, like I said, throughout. Additionally, most people as they travel through town have to go on multiple roads. So even if your specific road is not hard surface, often you are traveling through a hard surface road potentially to get out of town or to get, wherever you're traveling to. So, often benefiting still from driving on a hard surface road in the district, even if your property may be on a gravel surface road. When we did talk about this increase last year, when we went from $59, it was just under $60. It was like $59 and some cents, which it had been, the assessment rate had been since 2014. When we went from $60 to $90, we said at that time this would likely not be the last increase. The intent here is to to monitor those chip seal costs. I don't want to raise this assessment rate any higher than we have to. I want to look at it each year and raise it enough to make sure that we hit that 2029 cycle without growing a large cash balance. And that's the reason for the incremental increases and not a big jump all at once or at the last minute, you know, to try to achieve that 2029 cycle. I don't know, we may have one more increase, it's possible. It really depends how chip seal costs change. When the county does our chip seal cycle, we take all of the roads that are going to be chip sealed that year and we put all of those together. One of the challenges with Lincoln, the reason that we do the Lincoln district and also the Lambkins district, but we also cycle that in with the Augusta district because those are so far away from Helena. So it comes at a higher cost than what you would pay in the Helena Valley because the materials, the mobilization just doesn't cost as much when it's not traveling as far. We lump all of that together though into one bid to try to do the most road vinyls that we can in that package to try to achieve that economy of scale pricing. We do our best. In 2021, the cost of chip seal around Helena was about $1.70 per square yard. In 2022, when we chip sealed the roads in Lincoln and Augusta, that chip seal cost went up to $4.40 with inflation. With that kind of an inflationary increase, you know, we can't anticipate a 150% increase. You know, we can't, you know, we can't foresee something like that. So that's one of the reasons we're trying to just look at that price each year and dial that in each year as we go. We're trying to keep these increases as small as possible. If there is another one, I don't anticipate it's going to be, you know, too much money. But if that chip seal cost jumps up again, we'll have to revisit. Right now, the roads that we got in Helena for this year's cycle came in around $3. So we saw it bump way up, and we're seeing it kind of level out. So as long as we stay on that level, I think we're going to be pretty comfortable for that 2029 cycle. If we do need to increase it a little bit, though, I'd rather see an increase at this level rather than those financing costs that we talked about. You know, I think as far as the job on First Avenue, I'd like to, you know, Jenny and I can certainly take a look at that road today and see how that works. Yeah, please. And I don't know if you want to speak to the millings, or I'm happy to speak to that. Yeah, please. Yeah, please. Go ahead.
So again, Jenny Chambers. I was aware of the concern on First Street. I was actually going to drive by that today when I was up in Lincoln. I have talked with the road manager as well based upon that project. And when I said the operator's doing a good job, meaning, you know, we have somebody up here that's hired, you know, that we have somebody that's trainable, that's a good quality employee, a good hard worker, that we're gonna be able to have the ability to onboard and get them trained up. So will it come with some learning curves? Yes. So my understanding was that we were gonna send up our senior equipment operator to take a look at that road as well, but I will also look at it today to see what kind of additional work we might need to do on First Street based upon the gravel and the grading. We use picks in Lewis and Clark County, and so if they did bring up new material to lay it down, because you do use dirt and gravel material on the road, so if we bring in new material and they use picks to get in there and dig up the new material, there could be some rocks. What we don't want is boulder-sized rocks, but you're probably gonna have some rocks based upon the material. So let me take a look at it and see what it looks like, but we can certainly regroup on that. Lewis and Clark County does have an agreement with MDT to get the millings from the Fletcher Pass project. We do that periodically as those is available. I think we've had some conversations internally about where those millings are gonna go up in the Lincoln area. We haven't settled necessarily if they're gonna go on the gravel roads in town, or they're gonna go on another location that's currently gravel to get it, to make an improvement based upon those roads. But why Ed Tinker, our road manager, might have said it might not be a good location is it might require some additional improvement for the road surface. You can't just put millings on top of a gravel road. Sometimes you have to build that base up with some gravel and some material. So Ed hasn't really been too involved in those conversations because it will change the RID picture, as far as the conversation that Jessica talked to you guys about, because you're gonna have to have some improvement on that road in order to have millings be put on top of that, and then that will be then a hard surface that's gonna have to add into the chip seal cost for the adding additional pavement. So it's a global conversation to really look at what that cost is gonna be, how much money you guys are saving, what's that gonna do to your assessment rates now, what will that do to your assessment rates in the future, and we need to have more public meeting and public comment on that, if that's gonna be the solution in the future. So I'm glad he's not committing to doing that now, because we do need to look at that as a conversation, but it could be a possibility potentially. It might just require some road improvement for that particular work to make that solution move forward. So, but I will look at First Street, we'll regroup with the road department staff. Just know that we do use picks and we try to bring up new material in the areas, and it's gonna be a little bit of a learning curve for our new equipment operator to get up to speed, but we do talk a lot internally about what calls we get, and I look about every 2 to 3 days at the phone call list to see what kind of complaints we're getting and what kind of questions folks are having, to talk a little bit with my road department folks to get a pulse of what's going on within the county, so.
So I want to look ahead at what kind of communication we're going to keep, so that if you're either going to follow me today and we can talk there, or, okay, that would work.
Yeah, and Commissioner, I'll give her my business card too, and anybody else will be happy to give you my business card, and then we can stay and get your contact information as well, and we'll stay in dialogue with how things proceed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I will then just shift to Mr. Beckman's comment. I understand the concern about the taxes and the increases. You know, this is just another thing I know on a ever increasing tax bill. I understand the stress there. As far as stretching out this chip seal cycle further to try to save money, we certainly look at that. Our RID construction coordinators, Caleb Marcus, and works closely with Jesse Whitford, who's been with the county for a number of years. If we can stretch out a chip seal cycle beyond 7 years, we do. I will say for the Lincoln roads, the hard surface roads in Lincoln, with the weather here, with the initial building of this road, these are not asphalt roads. These roads are a double shot chip seal surface. So when they went from gravel to hard surface, material was graded over, and they put 2 layers of chip seal over it. So that's your structural integrity, which is not as good as an asphalt road. Because of that, typically what we see in Lincoln is that we have to stick with that 7-year chip seal cycle to make sure that those roads don't unravel and get to a point where they can no longer be maintained with a chip seal cycle, unfortunately. So we want to make sure that the money is available on that 7-year cycle in case we need it. If we can push that to 8 years, we certainly will. If that can happen in a responsible way, so that we're not ending up, putting the community in a situation that's going to cost more down the road, we'll absolutely consider that. But I think given the nature and the history of these roads, we should be prepared for that 7-year cycle for these ones.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, just so we don't miss anyone, any last opportunity, this last opportunity for Lincoln, if you come up to the podium, sir, you're welcome to make comment here. This is the Lincoln RID, not the Lambkins.
Yep.
Okay.
And kind of generally covering, as far as the new operator, we live on 4x4. Our road was graded and magged recently, and it was done a little bit differently, but overall, I think he did a great job. Understanding there's probably different road-based material and whatnot, but being around a little bit, I see every time that something is graded, generally, it does pull rocks up. That's just how it is in a lot of cases.
This is like on night and day.
That's, and then to address the concern about, who's paying for what road surface, we all use these roads. So, just because I live on gravel roads when I traveled in the area elsewhere, so the increase is what it is. I mean, nobody wants to pay extra taxes. I don't like paying extra taxes, but it sounds to me like there's a little over a 10% savings in the long run by doing this, as opposed to paying later and having fees and interest on top of that. So, we can't have it both ways. You can't have decent roads and pay less. It just doesn't work that way. Everything's more expensive these days. The cost of labor is more expensive, the cost of materials is more expensive. We live in a rural community, and it costs money to get things here from the main yard in Helena, so I guess that's all I have to say, but it's, again, it's a case that you can't have it both ways. You either put up with substandard roads, or you pay for decent roads. And this isn't 20 years ago, it just isn't. It's the reality of how things are these days.
Thank you, sir. And I'm not sure if you gave us your name for the record.
Bob Wojciechowski.
Bob
Wojciechowski.
Wojciechowski, okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for your comment. Any other comment? Any other comment on the Lincoln RID before we close public comment? Okay, we're gonna close public comment on the Lincoln RID. And Commissioner, any questions or comments from you at this point?
We're facing a lot of inflation. I think we have to realize that apparently the folks back in Washington DC are smoking something when they tell us that we only have a 3% inflation because what we're seeing on the rest of this stuff is definitely, particularly construction and equipment and equipment costs. And fuel to run the equipment is certainly higher than the 3% that DC is telling us is inflation. It's frustrating, but we're trying very hard to keep the dollar cost to our taxpayers down. And in order to do the job that we're committed through this special improvement district to do, it's just going to take a little more money, and planning ahead, as Jessica was recommending, does save us some money and saves you money in the long run. All to do the job that we're committed to do under the way this special improvement district was set up. So I think we have to go ahead.
Thank you, Commissioner. I don't have any questions. I'll have a comment in a minute here, but if you have nothing else, then we'll need a motion on Resolution 2024-78.
Mr. Chair, I would move to approve Resolution 2024-78 to levy and assess the Lincoln Road Rural Improvement District number 2004-6 as explained by Ms. Makus.
Second. Moved and seconded to approve the resolution as presented. Further discussion? Anything else you want to add? I'll just add something similar. I mean, nobody wants to raise fees, but in looking at what it actually costs to keep the roads in a decent shape, these streets within this district, we need to make sure that the money is available to do that. And the reason it's on you, I do this once in a while, give this kind of explanation. We have the everybody roads, and then we have the roads that are attributed to particular subdivisions or the folks that actually live on those streets. So an everybody road might be Stemple Pass, and we grade that at least twice a year, maybe more, depending on how bad it gets, and then all of that. And that comes from our general taxes, and there's everybody roads all over, you know, the roads that can't be attributed to people that live on them and use them every day. And so our RIDs are really formed for those streets and subdivisions where the people that use them every day, they're the people that then make a contribution for their maintenance. And that's the way it works in cities, it works all over the place. You have a street fee for the street in front of your house. And so that's different than the general tax that, you know, I look at my taxes, and around $200 or less than $200 goes to Public Works for maintaining the streets out of my tax. And I have a similar tax bill I was talking about back there. But, you know, and that's the money that we collected to do those everybody roads that can't be attributed. So this is how it works. And what I appreciate with Jessica and Caleb and the others that work on this is really monitoring it now, because what happened a few years ago, just a couple of years ago, when I was 22 or I don't know, not that long ago, we came and said, boy, we don't have enough money to do your maintenance. We had to scramble, we had to raise the rate, and then the commission ended up dumping in 20-some thousand to help with that, so that we wouldn't have to raise the rates really what it costs to get the job done. And then the last comment I'll make, and you know, I don't want to rub salt in the wounds, but Lincoln has a pretty good deal going. In most of our RIDs, all of the maintenance is on the RID. So the county, in this case, in the Lincoln case, we absorb the general grading, we absorb the snow plowing, those kinds of things, and then the sweeping. So those are paid by the general taxpayer. So everybody, all taxpayers of Lewis and Clark County are helping pay for those activities on these streets in this RID. And normally, like in Helena, an RID this size, in Helena Valley, they'd be paying for all of it, so don't tell them. But the RID rates are significantly higher for most of them. They're $200 to $500 a year per resident, per assessment. And so it is a pretty good deal, and we have a good partnership going. I think if we can work through things like this, like, wow, we might have missed it on this one case or whatever, let's go back and make sure we do that right. But we have a good thing going right now, and these streets are special in the sense that we would not build streets like this today. If we were going to hard surface streets, you put down an asphalt mat, and the standard is that you do that, and you have a base that is adequate and engineered so that it can sustain that, so you don't get potholes and cracks as much. And then you chip seal over that, and then that has to be maintained. So when this happened those years ago, and it was just chip sealed streets, there isn't a great base under them as well, and so we really have to keep up on them and maintain them, or they're going to come apart on you, and then it costs us all more. So I'll get off my high horse here, but I just wanted to say that just from one perspective, from explanation, and two, that we have a good partnership going, and we're trying to keep the rate as low as we can, but anticipate what it's going to cost in the years to come without having to take out a loan and causing those extra fees. So that really is the mission here, and I appreciate that. So with that, Commissioner, anything else you want to add? All right. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. So we will move on to Resolution 2024-79, which is levy and assess the Lambkins Rural Improvement District number 1989-1. Jess.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, again, we'll be holding a public hearing to hear comments and objections regarding the adoption of Resolution 2024-79 to levy and assess the Lambkins Rural Improvement District. This is a special assessment of $0.007 per square foot per property per year. That averages out to about $115 per property per year for the Lambkins district. When this district was set up in 1989, it selected an assessment rate of, instead of an equal fee per lot, of an assessment per square footage that abuts the road network. So this is assessed a little bit differently because it was the first RID created in Lincoln. Let's see, with a total of 83 benefiting properties in the Lambkins RID, a total of $9,505 will be assessed annually to fund the maintenance of the RID. The Lambkins RID, again, this is that northeast corner of Lincoln. This RID was created in 1989 and updated in 2022. This district provides maintenance to the hard surface roads in the northeastern corner of town, and that maintenance includes pothole patching, crack sealing, and that chip seal cycle that we talked about. The county road department provides all of the sweeping and then the plowing and the sanding in that area as well. The assessment was raised last year to $0.0049 per square foot, or an average of $83 per property per year. That assessment, again, had not been increased since 2014, just like the Lincoln district. So that was increased last year, again, with the intent to monitor those chip seal costs and increase the district assessment accordingly to stay on track for funding that next chip seal cycle in 2029. At the current assessment rate for Lambkins RID, we're projected to have a shortfall of approximately $54,000. So again, that's the reason for the increase for the Lambkins RID as well. An increase to the assessment will ensure that annual maintenance in the Lambkins RID can be completed as detailed in the resolution that created the district. This is a total increase of $0.0021 per square foot, for an average of $32 per property per year. The increase again was discussed during Lincoln Government Day on May 3rd. Legal notice of this increase and this public hearing today was sent to all benefiting property owners and published in the Helena Independent Record on July 13th and July 20th, 2024. Again, as of yesterday, no written testimony or comment has been received regarding this proposed increase. Staff recommend approval of the resolution to levy and assess the Lambkins Rural Improvement District. And again, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions? My comments, I failed to mention, we have, I don't know, around 1,500 miles of county roads in Lewis Clark County, or roads we're responsible for. We maintain 500 to 600 miles of those roads. So, for our general, again, the part of our taxes, the general tax that goes to public works, that money goes to a lot of that general maintenance on those roads. It can be attributed to everyone, so I meant to add that to my comments. But this one, and the reason it's assessed a little differently, we're a subdivision of the state, so we can only do what the legislature gives us authority to do. So there's a handful of options, 4 options or something like that, I think in state law, or at least there was. I don't know if it's been changed in the last session or two, but where there's different ways that you can assess properties. And so all of the time, and all the new ones that we have done since I've been a commissioner, I think we've assessed them that all the properties within that RID are assessed the same, so everybody pays the same. It's fair that way. But back, I don't know how long ago it was when this one was created, 89. They chose to do it by this square footage method, which is in law that you can do it that way. But it gets more complicated, in some ways less fair. If I have 200 feet of road front and my neighbor only has 50, but they got 10 cars, and I only have 2 cars, they're really benefiting more and I'm paying more. So it's a funky thing. So the way we do it now is, it doesn't matter how large your lot is or whatever. If you're a benefiting property, everybody pays the same. But this one was set up differently, so that's how it is. And to change it is quite a process. You have to essentially start all over. So we haven't wanted to do that. There hasn't been interest in doing that in the past from the citizens that live there, at least the majority of them. So we continue to assess it this way. So is that on base
Yes,
for the most
yeah,
part?
Mr. Chair, thank you. Yes, right, there is a whole chapter of state law that we have to follow to administer our Rural Improvement District program. And as Mr. Chairman Henhausen spoke to, there are different assessment methods allowed for rural improvement districts. A lot of the reason for that is because rural improvement districts can be for roads. They can also be for stormwater infrastructure or any other public infrastructure. So it kind of depends what infrastructure you're looking at to determine what assessment method is perhaps the most logical. Assessing by square foot of property abutting an improvement is one way. Another way is to assess by the assessed value of a property, so where everybody would pay a different amount based on the assessed value of your property and home. The other way is equal. Here's another way. I think there are 4. I can't remember the 4th off the top of my head, but I think it's not really applicable to road improvement. But anyway, primarily with rural improvement districts, because these are not necessarily everybody roads. What we're often dealing with are residential neighborhoods effectively. And because of that, we primarily have similar land use. So you have, residential family homes, right? So you can assume probably generally the same number of cars, the same number of vehicle trips, give or take, generally an equal benefit. And so that's why we generally assess these now with an equal rate per property per year. If we wanted to change the Lambkins district, it's always possible. We can always change that. However, the process to do so would require a petition with the to create the district this way, to change that assessment method. That would have to be signed by at least 20% of the property owners in that district. That would go to a public hearing where we'd have the resolution of intention to create the district that way. We would send legal notice out. If greater than 50% of the properties protested that change, then we could not, by state law, we would not be able to move forward with that change. If less than 50% protested that change, it would be up to the commission to make that decision at that point. We would have to do one more round of legal notice and publication, and then we would actually be able to implement the resolution to levy and assess that district at that different rate. All of that needs to be done prior to the first Monday after the 1st of September each year to get onto the next tax bill starting in November, with that first half and the second half of May. So definitely a process, but certainly something that the RID program in Public Works can assist with if folks are interested in moving that forward.
Yes, so sorry to get long here, but we just want to be explain it fully, and sometimes people have not heard these explanations before. So if you have, I'm sorry. All right, so we'll open public testimony, public comment right now for the Lambkins RID. If you have comment, please come up to the podium and give us your comment. Anybody's got comment? One last time, any public comment? Any public comment? All right, Commissioner, hearing none, we will close public comment, and we are debating Resolution 2024-79. Anything further you'd like to talk about?
Oh, but we might as well make a motion.
Why not?
Mr. Chair, I would move resolution 24-79 to levy and assess the Lambkins Rural Improvement District, number 1989-1, as explained by Ms. Makus.
Second, moved and seconded to approve the resolution as presented. Further discussion, Commissioner?
I think we've kind of covered it pretty well. We're trying very hard to keep taxes down. We know that the burden is there. I think you'll be pleased when you look at your tax bills next time to realize if you separate out the portion that's going to county government, we've been very, very cautious about any raises. So we're trying to do the most we can for you at the very least amount of money.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, along those lines, we get to be the tax collector, which is not very much fun. County tax department collects them, but only about 20 to 25% of your property tax bill goes to run Lewis and Clark County. And we try to keep that as low as we can. We have a cap too on what, again, the legislature gives us a cap. There's a formula. We can only raise taxes by 1/2 of the last 3 years average of inflation. So this time I think it was about 2.8% is the most we could raise property taxes for the Lewis and Clark County portion of your taxes. So the rest is not ours. We get it collected. It's either related to schools, universities, or the state. So our part, we try to do our best to keep it as reasonable as possible. So, anyway, all right. With that, Commissioner, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much. All right. Gosh, just in time.
Yay.
We are talking about our next meeting, which is September 6th, 2024, and we are at a time where we'll take public comment on any item that is under the jurisdiction of the commission, but not on today's agenda. And anything from Zach, if he's got anything for us.
No, we didn't have a meeting, so
Well, it's nice to have people here that told us the truth about what's going on out there. No, thank you, appreciate all your work, and glad to see you today.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Just one
Yes,
thing,
sir.
I'd just like to mention, before we got started, I got the chance to chat with some folks who hadn't been here before. Dee and Dick, would you like to introduce yourselves? They came from some little state back east that in the past, and they're not used to quite as many people as what we have around here. Well, New York or something like that. But and your last name is Brendan?
Brendo.
Brendo, okay.
Wow.
That they have enough interest to come to the meetings, and if there's other new folks that haven't been here before, if you'd like to introduce yourselves, so the folks get to know you, we appreciate it. Dee and Dad and Dick, you can stand up and
Just what you wanted. New friends, it's actually, people might be eligible to be on a board or a committee.
Yeah.
I think I saw a hand raised there.
Chasing people down. Okay, just a reminder, the Forest Service is here, they have maps and other information potentially for those that might want to talk, and MDT's here, and friends, and if there's any questions about Dalton Mountain Bridge or other projects going on in the community, you're welcome to stay after and ask. And I'll give one last opportunity, any public comment on any matter that's under the jurisdiction but not on today's agenda. Please.
I got one question. The President and Congress passed this infrastructure bill. Will any of that money funnel down to the county?
I believe so, but how that comes and what, I think we've already, I'm looking at Jenny, because I'm not sure about how we'll be able to apply for some of those dollars through Public Works and for Public Works projects. But yes, I mean, they're trying to get it out to all the communities in the state for sure, but specifically maybe.
So Commissioner, and I guess, Niall, are you referring to like the Build Act, the large Build Investment Act, infrastructure dollars? Okay. So there's some pockets of money there, but the large one is for bridge works and bridge infrastructure. And there's pots of money that are large pots of money. So there's one that's, you have to have projects more than $100 million to be eligible for that project, for that build grant. So they're large scale projects based upon our infrastructure. Our typical bridge, Dalton's pretty expensive, it's about $4.4 million. We're working on one in Head Lane, outside Helena, that's running around probably 1.2 million, 800,000 to 1.2 million when we get done with it. That's typically the size of bridges we have, or a little bit less than that based upon our bridge projects. So what MDT is doing, the Montana Department of Transportation, is they're looking across the state to see if they can pocket geographically several bridges that are our critical bridges that need to be replaced and apply for funding on behalf of the state to try to get county bridges projects done. So maybe we can lump one of our bridges with Powell County, Jefferson County, and Broadwater County, and maybe get a piece of that larger dollar bounty money based upon the big ticket dollars for those projects. So
Thanks.
we're watching it. We look really closely at all the grants that come that are available from the federal government and the state. And when we get the opportunity to apply for grants, we're jumping on it to try to supplement the money that we have in the county. The tricky thing is coming up with the match money for some of those projects and grants. But the commissioner's been really great that if we have an opportunity to try to leverage the dollars, we try to get that match money, or they help support that match money in order for us to get that done through the Public Works Department. But we watch very closely.
In a general sense, yes. I mean, we're gonna go after everything we can. So that money's coming down to the states and to local jurisdictions. Much of it will likely come through existing programs. So say the state has a existing, I'm making this up, but there's a safety program, for example, and they might get an influx of, $20 million or something, that then they have to, get that out around the state for projects or something. I made that totally up, but some things like that will probably happen. Projects that, will come down through CDBG is another one, Community Development Block Grants. We go after those for projects for nonprofit partners and those kinds of things in the community often. So we'll be chasing that kind of stuff. There'll be money coming out for, water and sewer types of things as well, likely. Commissioner, you probably have some, I don't know if you have some insight on any of that or not.
Nothing particular, but we are trying to reach out for any of those dollars that we can. The special money that came through for the COVID, we made a very strong effort to use them for one-time projects rather than starting new programs that we have to raise taxes to continue. And I think the commission did a great job of doing it for one-time projects, trying to, things that were needed, but we couldn't find another way to finance them. And
those were the ARPA dollars.
yeah. So we tried to do it very cautiously. I know that some government districts have started new programs, and now as the money runs out, it came through those special funds. They've got to figure out what to do and how they're going to sustain it. And probably that means raising taxes. So we tried not to do that.
An example in Lincoln, how we use the ARPA funds, Zach had a project, we drilled a new well for fire protection as well as public works projects and other things, so new well, new pumps and all of that. We invested a couple $100,000 in workforce housing out by the jerky plant so that they could make sure they can keep their employees and keep this business in town. So things like that, we were trying to invest in one-time activities that we knew the community needed. We did that all over, so we did some in Augusta, and of course in the Helena Valley and all of that as well. So tried to spend our dollars that way. And
one other thing I'd just like to mention, this only happens about once a year, but the Lewis and Clark County Conservation District will be meeting this next week here in Lincoln. They usually only come up here about once a year. It'll be on August 8th at 9:30 a.m. at Lambkins. So if you have an interest in what the Conservation District is doing, you may want to try to attend that meeting.
all right, great. All right, well, it looks like September 6th is our next date. I hope you all weren't bored stiff and will come back. We'd love to have a full room. It's great to have the community come out and appreciate the participation in your local government. Thank you very much. And stick around for questions and answers on the fire and bridge and all that stuff. All right, with that, Commissioner, Roger Ball, anything else you?
No, thank you.
Okay.